Hello, and welcome to the final episode of EmanCast. I'm your host, EmanSMM2. Joining me today for our final episode is Blizzard, a well-known multiplayer versus player, endless grinder, streamer, and just a great guy in general.
Hi everybody, I am Blizzard. I've been playing this game since 2020, and currently going for 10,000 in Expert. I'm getting there, I'm alright, like 3,000 levels away, and I also have 7,000 in Versus mode.
Yeah, I'm super excited to have Blizzard on to end off for this grand finale of EmanCast. So, we're gonna just jump right into the questions. But first, Blizzard, how are you doing today, man?
Pretty good. I'm in a good mood. I'm well awake. I got stuff with me, and it's just a great day to do this. I'm hyped. I'm doing good. I'm doing great.
It's great to hear, man. I'm also really hyped for this, and yeah, without further ado, let's get started. So, the first question that I have for you, Blizzard, is what made you motivated to start playing Super Mario Maker 2? Like, did you have any driving motivation to try this game out, and just, did you have any motivation for it?
Yeah, actually. It all started, late 2019, a few months after the game came out. I started watching IPK, or IIPK, and watching his, Versus videos, compilations, and watching him live on Twitch really motivated me and interested me to get the game and try the mode out for myself.
Yeah.
It was really fun watching him, be toxic, add the memes into his, videos, and it was such a blast. I was just I gotta try this out for myself.
Yeah, I'm the same way too. I got the game day one just because I was a fan of Mario Maker 1, but I had watched a bunch of creators play Mario Maker 2, and that just got me to keep playing it because I stopped playing it for a short amount of time because after I beat the story mode. So yeah, I was also really inspired by other creators. So yeah. Now,
that's great.
Yeah. So now, the second question that I have for you today, Blizzard, is, in your opinion, what is the easiest and the hardest part about Mario Maker 2? Easiest being something it's something that you can, just do to have, relax from a long, stressful day, and hard, no, please stop, make it stop.
Okay, so this is gonna be a deep question here. I might spend a bit of time answering.
Yeah.
Easy Endless, it's a good way to relax after, you want to play something that's not too difficult, you don't want to rage. Easy Endless and Normal Endless are kind of, they're chill, they're easy, and, it's just relaxing because you don't have to deal with, trying to farm lives. Skipping all the time. It's just pace, slow, and it's relaxing. One of the hardest things probably is Versus mode, if you take it competitively like I do. Getting to 6,000 points can be rage-inducing a little bit. It's frustrating. It's difficult. But once you reach around 6,500, things just really snap into action, and it gets really frustrating. So that's one of the hardest things for me. The time it took me to get from 6,500 to 7,000 was a year and a half. It was just a bunch of breaks, a bunch of rage. And I don't recommend going that high because, I did break a few controllers, but if you want to enjoy the game, just play Versus for fun, not competitively. And, Endless is super fun too. Expert, Expert is my favorite mode because now that I've practiced and gotten a lot better, I find that Easy and Normal are just not super fun anymore. They're kind of just way too easy, and it's just kind of boring. And Super Expert is just, you have to skip so many levels if you want your run to be alive. But if you play no skips, then you could have fun, but I don't personally enjoy no skips. But to keep a Super Expert run alive, you have to skip constantly, over and over. I probably have around 20 to 30 skips per Super Expert level, and that's just not fun. So expert is the perfect balanced difficulty where it's not too easy, it's not too hard, and you have the perfect levels in between, Kaizo lights, Shao Kaizo precision. It's a really fun mode to play in the game, and that's why I'm grinding for it so much.
Yeah, I think, honestly, with everything that you just said, I completely agree with. Like, things like Versus is all dependent on, like, there's so many different factors to it that genuinely, like, makes a difference on your enjoyment of it. And when you get, like, a lot of stats, I think your stance on Endless is basically mine too, where easy and normal, once you've, like, when you kind of become, like, skilled at expert, easy and normal just become, like, mindlessly boring. And, super expert is, well, super expert. You do have to skip a lot, and yeah, I completely agree. Now, the next question that I had for you, Blizzard, is, what are your thoughts? In Mario Maker 2, there are a bunch of, like, different and unique communities. Obviously, there's a lot of them, so you don't have to list all of them, but for the communities that you know, what are your thoughts on some of them?
All right, so this is an interesting question. Sorry.
You're good.
It's a really interesting question because there's a few communities that I don't really have the best experience with. Mm-hmm. One of them I'll name is the Versus community. So I accidentally started drama between two content creators a few years ago, and everybody in the Versus community hated me for that. I gave the biggest sincere apologies, and over the course of years, they stopped hating me. But when I boosted in Versus to get the gold medal, which is highly frowned upon, they also started hating me again. So I don't have the best history with the Versus community, but everybody else, like Team Precision, Team Shell, they all seem to be cool with me, and, I even joined the Team Precision and Team Shell Discord and got a bunch of points because I enjoy playing those kind of levels. And the communities that I'm friends with now, they're just a bunch of close friends that I like to talk and play the game with, share my experiences, and it's great because I'm glad I have a bunch of people who respect me for who I am and enjoy watching me play my game, and it's just, I have a lot of great friends, so I'm happy for that.
Yeah, exactly. That's great. I mean, yeah, when it comes to different things, and to see that, you've got, like, safe space in the game, and that's, like, for you to go to, like, I think that's really cool to have that option available for you. But yeah, all right. For the next, this question kind of goes along with a previous question. Now, in a casual and a competitive sense, how do you feel about Super Mario Maker 2? So casual as in you're just, you're not really playing, there's nothing on your mind like medals or points or stats or anything like that. And then, of course, competitive is the complete opposite of, like, you want to get some things done. And in terms of casual and competitive, what are your thoughts on Super Mario Maker 2?
So, I feel like I fall in the middle of that because, I'm not too casual. Like, I do care if some things happen.
Yeah.
Like, if I lose my run, of course, I'm going to care and not just start a new one. I'm going to be pretty upset.
Right.
But I'm not to the point where, like, I have to have gold medals. I have to have them. No, I don't really care about medals. I kind of just focus on expert and Versus mainly. And I don't take it too seriously anymore as I used to. I kind of say I used to take it super seriously, but now I just I'm chill. I like playing expert. I stick to that and try not to flex about my achievements too much because, that's how people just start frowning upon you because, they don't want to hear it, but, I'm chill. I like expert. I stick to that. And, I'm almost at my goal of 10,000. So that's that.
Yeah, I agree. Having that being right in the middle, I feel like is a good balance. And yeah, I'm glad you think that way too. Now, the next question that I have for you is, now, Super Mario Maker 2 is in this weird limbo, where some people have said that, nothing's really changed much with the game. It's remained the same. Others have said the game has completely declined and it's completely different. But I want to know your opinion on it. How do you feel about the current state of Super Mario Maker 2?
Yeah, so it's dependent on several factors. One being that Nintendo has not updated this game in over 4 years. Yep. So I kind of side with the people who say it hasn't really changed much. Update regarding, of course, on updates, it hasn't changed at all in 4 years. But there's many things about the community that's changed, like new players, new content creators, and level viewer streamers. It's changed a bit in that aspect, but in the aspect of updates, it hasn't changed at all. But you can still have fun by doing challenges like Nuzlocke or expert no skip or super expert no skips or easy blindfolded. There's so much things you can do in this game to make it fun. So it's really just how you use those ways to make it more enjoyable, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because if you're just doing the same thing over and over, you're gonna get drained eventually. But if you do new things in the game, new challenges, make your own challenges and stuff, you can have fun. So it's changed in that aspect, but in the aspect of updates, it hasn't really changed at all.
Yeah, I agree. We'll talk more about the updates later in this episode, but I agree 100% because when it comes to how the updates are kind of essential, especially in a game like Mario Maker 2, where you kind of need them in order to keep the game afloat and you need to keep it alive. So yeah, I feel like that's completely valid, and yeah. Now, as I mentioned earlier in this video, Blizzard is a Mario Maker 2 streamer. He plays, you usually play expert and versus on your streams. Am I right about that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so Blizzard does a lot of streams on Twitch. So in your opinion, from all of your years on streaming on Twitch, how do you think it is now in 2024 how is it making content for Super Mario Maker 2, whether that is making videos for it or streaming the game?
So I prefer to stream it because with videos, I have no idea what to record, because if I just did expert endless as videos as a whole, I don't personally think they would get much attention because it's just gameplay and there's no commentary, no anything in the background. But when I stream, I have face cam, I have a bunch of stuff like text to speech, I have share videos, and I average 10 or so viewers.
Nice.
It's pretty fun. The chat interactions are different because it's literally live and not just a YouTube comment that anyone can leave at any time. I get live interactions with my chat. Some of the reactions and the interactions are hilarious, and the video submissions don't even get me started. That's awesome. So I definitely prefer to stream the game over make videos because streaming, I get so much more funny interactions with people, and that's what really motivates me to continue streaming the game.
Yeah. And that is a benefit of being live, where you can interact with those people at the same time. And yeah, I completely agree. Now for my next question, in your opinion, how would you say that the Super Mario Maker 2 algorithm is played out? The algorithm to get your levels played, whether that be also, I guess, in Versus, to get Versus levels played, that algorithm, there's so many different branches of the algorithm. How do you think that is that's played out?
So, it's interesting, It feels like it's random, but it's not completely random. Mm-hmm. For example, in Versus mode, if you have a level that everybody likes, it is going to be more likely to show up for other players.
Yeah.
But if you have a level with lots of boos, Nintendo could just completely remove that from that level from the versus algorithm entirely. And also, if you have a level that is tagged multiplayer versus, it is also more likely to be selected to play in multiplayer versus. Mm-hmm. This is not always a good thing, because I've had my fair share of not super well designed levels that are just awful for versus, and they have the tag multiplayer versus. I think part of this is due to some level creators abusing that tag to get more plays on their level, which is it's not good, because versus mode, you need those good levels if you play competitively to climb and to have fun. But if you just get horrible levels all the time, you can't really climb that much, because, well, if you lose and you're unlucky, then you'll just drop and drop. It's not, you don't really climb. It's you need those good levels. For other algorithms like Endless, that's also interesting. Endless is not like versus. Endless is completely random. So in like Expert, I would just get like one level out of millions selected. Most levels in Expert aren't really that good, but I've got a few like Shao Kaizo, Precision, Time Attacks, Light Kaizo, Team Jamp levels, and it's great when I get that, because it's so refreshing after like all the like not super great levels. It's nice to get a refresher on like, you know, Expert. It's nice to get a refresh of a good level after a few bad levels.
Yeah, I completely agree when it comes to that. The thing about the versus algorithm is you're exactly right, and that's a point that I actually never even thought of. I noticed that a lot of people, when they have the multiplayer versus tag, and there's a level clearly not designed for versus, it would make more sense. It makes completely sense. It makes it's not really fair that they do that just to get plays on their level. And for some reason, I've noticed this, that sometimes a play doesn't even register when you play in versus, so it just feels like it's completely pointless. And even some 4-laners in versus aren't the best in level design anyway. And that's why I've started to do this recently when I play versus. If I notice a level that is not suitable for versus, and I see that it either has a multiplayer versus tag or no tag at all, I always change it to single player, because I've uploaded a bunch of levels, and whenever you do single player, I've noticed it almost never gets put in the versus queue, which I think is extremely helpful to have. So, yeah, and then Endless, you're right, is completely random, and yeah.
Before you go on to your next question, you can put this in the video, by the way.
Yeah.
I have something to say about versus mode. I'm not sure if you knew this, actually.
Yeah.
So, if someone chooses the single player tag if someone chooses a single player tag on their level, it will not get into versus. Like 100%, it will not.
Awesome.
That's a thing that's known, that, you know. But if a level has both multiplayer tag and single player tag takes the priority, so it won't be selected in versus mode.
Yeah, and that's why I think, you know, prior to version 3.0, when those tags were added, I feel like single player tag is the best thing that could happen, because some people probably don't even intend for their levels to get into versus, but it does, and it wonders why they're like, you know, they're getting boos on their level because it's not suitable for versus. So having that tag is a really good option, in my opinion, and that's why I think tags are so important in levels.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Now, the next question is kind of along the lines of what we've been talking about. So, Mario Maker 2's medal system is, it's definitely improved from Mario Maker 1, I can tell you that much. But in your opinion, you have medals in almost every category in SMM2. That's correct, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So, in your opinion, would you say that getting medals is a challenge in Super Mario Maker 2?
It depends what category you're going for.
Yeah.
I'm at the point where my skill set is so high, I could make a new alternate account and get a bronze super expert within like an hour and a half. So that for me is really easy. But if you're starting off, super expert will be very challenging to get that bronze medal. But however, if you just make a bunch, like 20 levels, and you get a bunch of people to like and play them, getting silver, gold, or even number one on the weekly leaderboard is so it's so unheard of. It's so easy.
Mm-hmm.
But maker points all time, you can't just rely on like free clear levels. You have to make decent levels. Endless is a lot of grinding. Easy and normal itself is not that fun to get. It's just a lot of grinding. So that itself doesn't really take much skill. It's more patience. Expert and super expert, and even versus mode now, because you need to have like 6,100 points in versus mode to get the bronze medal.
Yeah.
Those categories are challenging, and it's meaningful when you get those medals, because you're like, okay, great, I worked hard for this. But if you get a medal like weekly, you don't feel much excitement, because you're just begging people to play your levels, and then you're just getting number one, and it's not really meaningful. But if you got number one in like super expert or something, you're ahead of everybody else, millions of players. It's so meaningful to get like a gold ribbon or just a medal in any category. But when you get it in weekly, you don't really get much of a feeling from it, because it's so easy to achieve weekly medal.
Yeah, and I think that's I feel like there was a point in Mario Maker 2's history where world records was the medal to get if you wanted to get number one weekly, but obviously that had been that was outdated, and now Maker Points weekly is easily the medal to get if you want to get number one weekly in something. And that's currently the method I'm trying to do, and hopefully try to get medals in other categories, like Endless Expert, maybe possibly other Endless, I don't know, but yeah. Now, another thing that has been tossed around in the Mario Maker 2, I guess, land space is the community of Mario Maker 2. Some have said that the community is completely gone, and some people have said that the community is still active, it's just not the same as it once was. But in your opinion, how active would you say that the Super Mario Maker 2 community truly is?
Team Shell and Team Precision is their own little community. That's still very active to this day. But if you're talking about communities like the Versus community, that community is completely disbanded by now. It's gone. It'll never be the same as it once was. But Team Precision and Team Shell and Team Jam, they're still very active this day. And, it's great because you still have somewhat of an active community. But some communities like Versus, it's completely disbanded, gone, no one communicates with each other through that anymore. Versus mode itself has just changed so much. Nobody waits at the goal anymore like they used to. Everybody's toxic. It's not a super fun mode, but the community is still somewhat there. It's in the middle between gone and very active. It's still somewhat there. Twitch, there's a few streamers on Twitch like Aura who still streams super expert, and Versus to this very day. Panga does expert, but it's not as hype, and it's definitely died down a lot since its release.
I definitely do think after a while, with how short-lived everything is, with, the updates and stuff like that, that definitely also took a toll on it, and, it definitely is different than what it was 5 years ago. So, yeah. And speaking of the updates, this is another topic of Mario Maker 2 that has also been tossed around, but what are your thoughts about Nintendo's treatment of Super Mario Maker 2, and what are your thoughts about the lack of updates after the final major update that happened in April of 2020?
So, this is good. This might be controversial, and this may perhaps upset a few people, but I'm just going to point this out. I feel like Mario Maker 2 for Nintendo was like a test game. Mario Maker 1 is just, I mean, people can argue Mario Maker 1 was a test, but the fact that Nintendo stopped updating Mario Maker 2 not even a year after its release, it's leading me to believe that Mario Maker 2 was like kind of like a test game in a way, and they're working on something much more bigger and better.
Right.
That's why they haven't updated in 4 years. It was kind of like a test game to see how well, I guess, like 3D World and Versus Mode and Endless would work or something. So I feel like Mario Maker 2 was a test. It's a test game for something much bigger to come.
Oh my gosh. Like, I think that, you know, with you saying that actually kind of makes a lot of sense. Like, 3D World came onto the Switch 2 years later. They were likely just testing the waters and seeing how 3D World would feel on Switch, even though 3D World and SMM2 is completely different from 3D World, the game itself. And then Versus Mode, they added an online mode to 3D World plus Bowser's Fury and Mario Wonder. So, and you're right, it could be leading to something bigger, like a bigger Mario Maker game or something like that, or just a bigger Nintendo game in general. Like, I think that's a really, like, that's actually a really interesting perspective, and I don't think I've ever heard that before. So, yeah, it's a really good one. But, yeah.
Hold on. Hold on.
No worries.
Yeah. The fact that it was, like, not even a year. Like, every other game at least has, like, even, like, to this day, big games have, like, still updates even, like, a decade after their release.
Yeah.
But this game its final major update was not even
9 months.
1 full year.
It wasn't even 9 months
its
after the
release.
game came out. It was, well, actually, my math probably is, no, my math isn't mathing. It was, yeah, you're right, a little under a year, you're right. My bad.
10 months, almost 10 months.
Yeah. But yeah.
It just feels like a test, like, to something much bigger to come, and I hope that's the case instead of them just completely giving up on the Mario Maker series. I hope it's something much bigger to come instead of just them completely just giving up on Mario Maker.
Yeah. See, like, that's the thing. I really don't think Nintendo is going to give up on Mario Maker, and the main reason I say that is because the original Mario Maker was a test. It was, okay, I wouldn't say that was a test game, but it was an anniversary game to help celebrate the 30th anniversary of Super Mario Brothers. And the Wii U was not a successful console. And I'm sure they wanted to give that series another chance on the Switch. They did release it on the 3DS, but we don't talk about that. That game is not very good. But yeah, so I really hope it's not the end for the Mario Maker series, but yeah. Now, the next question that I have for you, Blizzard, is what is your favorite and least favorite part about Super Mario Maker 2? This is kind of like the easy and hard question, but in your opinion, what is something that you love to death about this game, and something you hate to death about this game in a way?
So, I love right now it's changed a lot in my 4-year history with this game, but at this current moment, I love Endless Mode. Like, Expert, just how they made Endless Mode. I love playing Expert Endless and moving on, getting more clears every day, getting closer to that 10,000. It's so satisfying, and me doing the whole thing myself, it's awesome. And one thing that I hate about this is I hate Versus Mode now. Unfortunately, because of the Versus community dying down, Versus Mode has completely changed and not for the greater good. Nobody waits anymore. You rarely, in North America, you find top-level players, like 6,000 to 7,000 players. It's not super common, and you mostly match with, like, S ranks, S+, and, you know, it's certainly not as interesting and exciting and fun as it once was. And now, because of me taking it so competitively, without those 6,000 and 7,000 players to wait at the goal, I lose like 9 or 10 points per game and gain like 4 or 5 back. And it's so heartbreaking because I need such a high win rate for that.
Right.
And it's just not fun anymore. So I've grown a hate for versus mode, unfortunately.
Yeah. And versus will do that, unfortunately. And especially if you climb higher and higher, it will certainly, it'll start to hurt. And yeah, I do agree. Now, the final question that I have for you, Blizzard, today this is an important one, is if you could give any advice to a new level creator, or any level creator for that matter, or new upcoming players of Mario Maker 2, just basically anyone who plays or makes in the game, what advice would you give them?
So, the best advice I can probably give you, I'm not the best at giving advice, but I will try my best. Practice. Do a lot of practice with ISO tricks, precision. Get better at the game before you do any of the high-end stuff like Endless Expert versus practice time attacks. You got to really practice the game. And for level creators, watch, see the designs of the top level makers and try and go with that, try and somewhat, not copy an entire level, but copy kind of the design and how it looks. So your level is more athletic and people will be more likely to play it than if you make such as a Timmy level.
Yeah.
Timmy levels, I just don't think people have any experience with what they're doing, and they just make some random hot garbage, and those are not fun to play. They get mostly boos. So
yeah.
If you want to grow as a level creator, it'll be harder now than it was 5 years ago, but you can still relatively grow. You just got to make good platforming, and like Kaiza's, people really enjoy those. Or something creative like sports levels or playable shell. I've seen those and they grow really well. So if you just practice making and also don't spend a day making a level because you're just rushing through it.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to make a really good level, spend at least a couple days to a week making it, because it'll do so much better the more time you spend on it and the more effort you put into your level.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. When it comes to making levels, if you're done with the level, and you've clear checked it and done all that, you shouldn't update it. Go back and do some nice little, just put decorations in your level. Try to make it look a bit nicer. Make a thumbnail for it so it could perform better. You're absolutely correct that there's always something that, well, not always until it's eventually you believe it's good, but you're right. It shouldn't be done in a day. This is stuff that should take a couple days to a week. So, yeah, I completely agree. Well, with that about does it for all the questions that I have for you today, Blizzard. So thank you so much for joining me on this episode of EmanCast, man. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
And yeah, if you guys haven't already, please go check out Blizzard's Twitch and YouTube. Both of those are going to be linked in the description. You won't regret checking it out. He streams really good Mario Maker gameplay. He posts really, he started to post more shorts on his YouTube. So go check it out right now. You won't regret it. And as I mentioned in the update video, this is the final episode of EmanCast. In a little bit, we will be rebranding this channel to something else. I already know what it's going to be, but I'm not going to reveal it. I'm going to give it a few days after this episode drops, and then we're going to make that change. What I forgot to mention in the update video was that the EmanCast All Episodes playlist is not going anywhere. That will stay there, so in case you want to relive it, you don't have to scroll through my channel to find all of the episodes through this channel to find all the episodes. So if you want to relive those memories, feel free to do so. And if you're here to stick around for what's next to come on this channel, then thank you. And if this is where your journey stops, then thank you so much for watching. And thank you for supporting EmanCast for these 2 years. So that's going to do it for this. Thank you all so much for watching, and take care.